Well, this is actually quite scary, starting your own podcast. I mean, it shouldn't be because I'm in my own bedroom, but it's just knowing that it's going to be uploaded and people can listen to it and watch it. It's a long time coming. So, yeah. Welcome to Clover's Corner. I'm your host, Tahlia Heading, and this is my bedroom. This is this is where my podcast dome is. The studio, if you will. You can probably hear my co-host outside of the window playing with something. Probably a water bottle, to be honest. So yeah, this podcast is gonna be just about pop culture, music, whatever's on my mind. And my little dog co-host is gonna join us sometimes. I've wanted to do a podcast for a while, but I didn't know all the steps on how to get started. And with some research and practice, I think we're here. I think we've got it going. So if you're listening to this not on YouTube, that's a good sign. But if you are listening or watching this on YouTube, how do you do? Yeah, I have some experience in community radio, and that's kind of what got me interested in doing a podcast. But I have listened to podcasts for a while now. My favourites are probably Ear Biscuits and Conan Needs a Friend, and Very Really Good by Curtis Connor. Those are the ones I listen to a lot, and they've given me a lot of inspiration for this. I've even got like a little notes section on my phone of things to talk about, because that's what professionals do. I guess we should start off with a Clover update. She's a few days off of being 9 months old, which is crazy. Oh, there's hair on the mic. Yeah, I got her at 6 weeks old, which probably is a bit young, but she was a menace, and they're probably desperate to get rid of her, so. But, what has she accomplished so far? She can do a bunch of tricks, but she's no show dog. She would never do that. She's too in her own world. Not that she's, what's the word? Distracted or anything. She just doesn't like being told what to do. She's a woman of her own. She doesn't like being told. It's just like a toddler, I imagine, because every day they do something new, or new habit, and yeah, she's like a little person, because what has she done recently? I'm trying to think. She's just more and more into food every day. Like, any food you're eating, she wants to have a bite of it, but it's just because it's yours. It doesn't even matter what it is. I've seen her eat, like, dry spaghetti off the floor. She's cute. I love her. She'll probably make an appearance soon. So, on my list of things to talk about is I realised that I missed out on a camera in my camera collection video a while back. And I also have 2 new cameras that I wanted to show you. So, if you're into cameras, stick around and have a listen. Yeah, I'm a bit of a camera collector, and I'm very into photography. I wouldn't say I'm amazing at it. I can take a good photo, but I'm not great at all the settings and stuff. So, what I want to talk about is this camera. If you've been on YouTube for longer than 10 minutes, I'm kidding. Actually, if you've been here for, 10 years, you might recognize it. It's a flip camera. It's actually flip video camera. It's a terrible camera, but every YouTuber on the planet in 2010 used this because it was video only. I think you probably can get a microphone in this, surprisingly, but the idea is that it's cordless, and it's basically like a tiny camcorder, and because it's cordless, the only way you can really upload video to your computer or wherever you need to put it is with this little USB that flips out. The idea is there, and in the commercials they made it seem like the idea or the concept is that for people who aren't good at video and just want to quickly send something, this was before smartphones were really a thing. You would, the idea is you just say someone's doing something, you quickly film it, and then you plug it in, it takes 10 seconds, so yeah, but the quality's pretty bad. I always am intrigued to see if, like, I could charge all my cameras up if there's any footage on anything, but there isn't. So, now this one, I really think it's cool. It's just a Polaroid 600, but it's a Barbie one. I got it from Etsy. I can't remember what it's called on the top of my head, but it's like a they have, there's this page that does refurbished cameras, specifically to look like brands and stuff, because especially Polaroid back in the 90s and maybe even 80s, they would have like sorry, there'd be brand versions of Polaroid. So there was like a Coke Polaroid, a Pepsi Polaroid, and then there was some for like national parks and stuff, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I put the stickers on myself that it came with, but the colours are really cool. It does work, but the only thing about it is, oh, I didn't even notice. Here it is. It tells you in here. This camera works with Polaroid 600 instant film, refurbished by Retrospect from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I didn't even notice that was in there. I will say the only thing is it's a bit tight. As in, like, when you put the film in, it struggles to print the photo. So I haven't used it as much just because it's a little frustrating. And there's like a little turn wheel in there, which usually isn't. With my Polaroids, I never really shut them anyway, because I've noticed like the hinges always get a bit stiff. Now this one is really cool. I've opened it to remember what it's called. But first of all, this one's actually not my collection. It looks like a little whale to me. You see it? See what it says in here. Polaroid 600, and yeah, it was the year I was born, which is pretty dang cool. This one's... There we go. I was worried I was going to break it. I can't actually remember what was different about this one. Yeah, I'm going to do a quick Google. Because... Oh, it's just saying the film, hang on. Aha. It just says blue instant film. Maybe, I think Express Blue is probably the closest this is. But yeah, I like how this one has, like a handle. It's not the sturdiest because this is 25 years old and the Velcro is kind of worn. But the idea is, I think it would be better if it was like, you know? You know, it'd be cool if we took a photo to commemorate this podcast. Yeah. Yeah, is it even on? Yeah, okay. What did I do? This is awkward. There's film in there, why isn't it working? There we go. And now we have something we can look forward to. It's funny if it doesn't work, because that's a problem I've noticed been happening. You'll buy a Polaroid film, and half of it is expired. Should we try and take a selfie as well? This is always hard. Because, oh, that was the dumbest idea. I was gonna try and look through both viewfinders at the same time. See, this one's got a little splotch already. anytime you see any splotches, that's the part of the film that's expired. Yeah, so that's my update on my clamor. What's a clamor? It's a clam that knows how to do photography. Speaking of artistic things, I'm kidding, there's no segue for this. I want to talk about the Elvis movie, because I saw it a few days ago on the weekend. I really enjoyed it, but I just wanted to talk about something that it brought up in my mind, and that is just how artists are not appreciated and paid enough for their work. It's been happening since the beginning of time, but I feel like there's been a transition. So, I didn't know this, you might not know this either, but Elvis's manager wouldn't let him tour outside of America because he didn't have a passport, because he had a fake identity. He wasn't who he said he was, and he kind of manipulated Elvis from a young age to join his management, and he took 50% of all of his earnings, and that's why he went broke. And then Priscilla Presley has kind of reinstated his estate, or whatever you want to call it, through merchandise and Graceland and all those things to keep his memory alive. But yeah, it's just, even as someone as big as Elvis was and is, suffers this kind of artist abuse where people, they don't appreciate the actual price of any type of art, whether it's photography, music, physical art, like paintings or whatever, anything like that. It's just not valued. Like, you wouldn't go up to an architect, right, and you wouldn't say, hey, I want you to build this building, and then when they bring you back the blueprints, you're like, I'll give you free exposure for building it, or I'll take 50% of what it takes to build this. That's nothing. But it's a common thing in the arts, sadly. There's lots of things like that. Famously, Barry Gordy, if you don't know who that is, he was like the owner of Motown Records. He would, from what I remember, so allegedly, because this information I remember learning as a teenager in high school music, but he would pay the artist on his label one flat fee for however many songs or whatever, and there would be no royalties back in the day. So how did artists get by back then? That's another thing is, I guess the reason for actually, I think there's no exposure, like free exposure back then. It was all, I'll pay you, but just not very well. Whereas now, anytime someone wants to use art, they just say, I'll give you free exposure, but they don't have any exposure anyway. You look at their Instagram and they've got 500 followers, which is more than what I have, but still. Yeah, this also just reminded me, because I sent out a tweet when I was coming up with the idea of starting a podcast, and it was something like, hey, graphic designers, artists, hit me up, I have a job for you. And I surprisingly got like 20 DMs, which I didn't think was going to happen. I thought it was just going to fly under the radar, but I got a lot of messages, and I read every single one, but either people were in a country where it would be too hard to do exchange, as in, like, I did have someone from South Africa message me, and I really liked their work, but I got a bit of an iffy vibe because they didn't, all the, like, Cash App type of apps, none of them would work for both of us, and all their art was, like, NFT related, and so I was like, I don't know. But, the guy who drew my cover art, his name's McPuff, he just hit me up, and his stuff is awesome. So go check him out if you're looking for anything to get done. I was surprised. He messaged, I know time differences and everything, he's in America, but he messaged me, and by the end of the day, he had already drawn the picture, and then I just asked for like one tweak to fix something, and then it was done. Like, and it was not expensive either. Like, it was reasonably priced, which there's the thing. It's either, if you've been on Reddit, you might have seen delusional artists, which is people who can't draw and like aren't good at art, like objectively bad, which I know what you're saying is like, what is bad art? But it's like 5-year-old could draw better, and they're like, oh, here's a picture I drew, $85. And they're really delusional, and I think it's because there's lots of famous pieces of art that look like nothing, and they sell for a lot because of who made it, things like that. So you have that end of the spectrum, which is delusional artists that pay too much. Then you have reasonably priced art that people don't want to pay for because they go, oh, it's art, doesn't matter, which is ridiculous. Oh, and I'm just learning how to do this podcast thing for the first time, but I wonder what it's like to get a successful band running in 2022, because obviously you either know everyone in the band beforehand, but let's say you didn't know, you wanted to start one. You have to put out ads to find band members or online posts. You have to get auditions. You have to make sure everyone's available to be in the band, not just saying things. You have to be able to practice. Everyone needs to be able to have their own instrument. Everyone has to like the same sort of music to be able to make music together. And then say you get a little bit of a bowl, I can't talk well, a little bit of a ball rolling and starting to get popular. Then you have to either learn how to record the music yourself, find somewhere that has good audio setup, or make your room soundproof. Then you need to either make your own cover art for the album or pay someone to make it. Then you need band photo shoots, music video, tour, merchandise, management, roadies. Like, there's so many steps. Whereas, I mean, record labels don't have the power that they used to, but I'm sure that now it's just so much harder. Like, well, I guess it's always going to be hard, but with management, they sort all that out, which is a pro and a con. One, the pro is that you don't have to deal with all the hassle, but then the con is they can take advantage and not really see eye to eye. So, yeah, it's pretty hard. The whole thing that I was just saying, though, about the artist abuse stuff, it also, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jeanette McCurdy, because I haven't read the book yet, so spoiler. Spoiler, I haven't read the book, but I've read excerpts and I know what the book's about. But she just released her memoir called I'm Glad My Mom Died, which, shocking title if you weren't expecting it, but if you know her story, then not shocking. But yeah, even on the other end, it's like, we don't pay artists and we don't pay children. That sounds really strange, but what I mean is, though, I'm not talking about like the sweatshop situations or like under the table or not being paid like that. I'm talking about how actors and musicians that are children or under 18, they are just swindled. Like, everyone takes money from them, they're usually left with nothing. And it's really sad. So, that kind of situation, I don't know money-wise if it happened to her, but I know that she wasn't respected as a child actor, and her mum and executive producer, I think, was his title, and a few other people. Yeah, they just feel like they can just take from you because you're a child, you don't know better, and you're looking up to the adults around you. Famously, I'm pretty sure Macaulay Culkin's dad had there was a money issue there, like he was his manager. And that's another thing, just maybe don't have personal, like, it's different if your manager then becomes your friend or something, but it's never have a family, I feel like you should never have a family member or a romantic partner as your manager. It's just, there's so many stories about it going wrong and there's no divide. It just gets messy, you know. It's just not good. I saw on a podcast Corey Feldman said that for all of Goonies he was only paid $40,000, which is terrible because that's a child working for like 7 months straight, which is crazy. Oh, the photos are starting to develop. That can be a little teaser for the end of the podcast or something. Oh, that reminds me, there was something really cool that I saw on Twitter, and I want to talk about it really quick. If I can find it. Okay. At Rushzilla, so the person's name is Rushtazi. I don't follow this person, I didn't know who they were, and it just popped up and I saw it, I was like, that's a cool invention. It says, yo, check out this reusable grocery list from the 1920s. I'll put a photo up on screen if you're watching, but it is a metal grocery list, and it has all like common things you'd get at the shop, and there's like a little peg arrow, and when you do that, that would indicate that you've gotten that item. And so it's kind of like an American mailbox with the flag. We don't really have those in Australia, but I like this idea because, one, you don't have to write out what you need because it's all there, and it's common ingredients and things you'd need, and you can just flip it, and then you can just keep it with you. My problem always is you put either in your notes, and then you have to backspace and do all that while you're at shops, or you take a physical like written list with you, and then because it's a piece of paper that I don't care about, I just fucking throw it away, and then realize I needed it because I forgot 5 things. Speaking of the grocery store, I want to call out Ben & Jerry's. And by calling them out, my favourite flavour of Ben & Jerry's is never available. Already, Ben & Jerry's is criminally priced in Australia. Sometimes it goes up to $14 for a pint. But I'm willing to pay that because the flavour I like, strawberry cheesecake, is so good. But it's never there, and it's not because it's sold out. They just don't take it. They don't carry it. They don't take it. They don't carry it anyway. And then when I do find it, it's like one time. And then the next time I go to that place, it's gone. It's bullshit. Ben, Jerry, it's not on. Number one goal, honestly, with this podcast, I need a Coca-Cola sponsorship. Maybe they won't hire me if I can't fucking talk, but that would actually be a dream. Because I know, don't even come for me, I know. Coca-Cola, original, none of this 0 sugar, vanilla, no caffeine, shit, just original Coke. Is my one and only vice. Like, it's just my thing. Love it. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Coke Zero is now Coke no sugar, but it's the exact same thing. It's just different branding in Australia. And then you have Diet Coke. And then you have flavoured zero or no sugar. I don't know. It's very confusing. Number one pet peeve though, when you go somewhere and they tell you it's Coke and it's not, it's Pepsi. Because, oh yeah, I should probably mention that. So a few weeks ago, I went to the Governor Hindmarsh to see Short Stack, and honestly it was probably, I think we're almost in double digits at the amount of times I've seen Short Stack. Like, a little backstory, but the Short Stack fan girl, all of them had posters. It was all in. I would download Short Stack TV, their YouTube videos, and put it on my iPod Touch and watch it, which is a very 2009 sentence. But there you go. And yeah, so this was like the 8th. Yeah, it must be. I can't always count, but then I forget because I haven't written it down. But I think it has to be 7 or 8th time, if we're being serious. But yeah, I went to the Gov to see them, and they were great. But the only downside is the Coke. They always do this. Every single time. So if you haven't been to the Gov, one side is like the restaurant, pub type side, and the other side is the actual venue for bands to play. And on the restaurant side, you can get the Coke, but on the band side, the venue side, you can't. Every time they go, it's $5 for a glass of Coke, and then you drink it, and it's flat Pepsi. I know the difference. It's not on. Don't trick me. And then 2 weeks later, so what was it? 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago now. I went to the Jive to see the support act that was for Short Stag. I'd never heard of them. They're called Between You and Me, and they were incredible. I listened to their album over and over and over, and they were so good live. We got right up to the front because it's the Jive and it's like the smallest venue in the world, but it was still an awesome show. Yeah, I went with Declan, who's my boyfriend, and I met up with my friend TJ there. And waited in the rain, in line, which is just great. It's funny though, because before I started this podcast, I was gonna do like another music review or an update or something, and I got the sickest I've been in a long time. I think I'm touch wood or the desk or whatever. I haven't caught COVID or anything, and I did all the tests to make sure I didn't have it, but I had bronchitis, which I haven't, before I had gotten sick recently. I hadn't had it in a few years, but every single time I have it, it's like really bad. Like, I've also had laryngitis at the same time as having bronchitis before, and that's no good because you lose your voice and you get the shakes and everything. But I was sick for maybe a week at most. The cough lasted for 3 weeks. And it wasn't COVID. So I think COVID is making every cold longer or worse. Like, what's going on there? Crazy. That reminds me, if you're new here, I should probably tell a story about the worst sickness, in quotes, sick time I've ever had. It wasn't a sickness, but I had an allergic reaction that was so bad. Yeah. Oh, great. There we go. Wow. Okay. So, I forgot to format the memory card. We're learning, okay? And then I forgot to hit record on my microphone. But, it's all good. We're just keep on tracking. I'll just finish this story and then I'll probably head off. Give you just a little jump in the pool, okay? Not a dive. So yeah, in 2015 I used some moisturizer. Turns out I was allergic to. It has MI in it, which if you Google MI is short for a really, really long chemical that has like alcohol in it or something and burns little things in your skin. And so I had a really bad face rash that looked like small pimples, and then they all burst and it was really painful, and like it burnt, like it was hot, and I would turn over on my pillow and my face would get stuck because like whatever was in it was stuck to my face. Then I took penicillin, and I'm allergic to penicillin and didn't know, so I looked like Quasimodo and Hunchback of Notre Dame. So yeah, this is my first podcast. I thought Clover would interrupt, and she didn't. If you want to tell me what you thought about, that'd be really useful and helpful. I don't know about this mic positioning, if anyone has any tips. let me know. Like, I'm sure the audio is fine. It's weird having it in my peripheral vision like this. Or should I just, like, have it up here above my head? I don't know. Let's look at the Polaroid photos. So this one was on the setup. And then we have a little selfie. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Clover's Corner. I hope you enjoy, and we'll